I'm Russ, and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, today I want to do a quick guide on Skinwalker's Stage 21 Faction Crypt. I'm going to show you my team, the builds I used, and how I was finally able to beat this really challenging level. I would say Skinwalkers is one of the hardest factions to beat, and I was able to finish it, 3-star it. It is a grind, but I was able to do it with the least amount of resources used to max out my champions, and that's kind of my goal when it comes to faction crypts. Is I don't want to be maxing out champions that aren't viable for other parts of the game. Just do the bare minimum that makes sense. So with that, we'll dive into it. My first champion and the lead that I used to beat Faction Wars for Skinwalkers is Basher. He is a level 60, fully ascended. Here's his masteries. I didn't get all his masteries done, didn't need to. I went down the offensive tree, a little bit of support, a little bit of support, but not too much. Definitely can still, he's a great champion. You can even use him in arena, so it doesn't hurt to finish out his masteries. He's a champion worth investing in. For skills, he is fully booked. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns. This is a big move that really helps get through the waves and the content. Attacks all enemies, increases the cooldown of all the target skills by 2 turns. So you want him to be pretty fast because you want him doing this A2 as often as possible. It just really helps getting through the waves. And then attacks 4 times at random, has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs debuff for 2 turns, damage based on attack. So again, another really good debuff. Debuff and then stopping the cooldown or increasing the cooldown of their skills. Just a good champion. Increases allies' HP in all battles by 25%. I used him. I just need that extra health to get through the boss. And then for his gear, crit damage and perception. It's an attack-based champion, but you do want survivability on him. Let's go to main stats first. 43,000 health. Want to have enough health, especially with the boss. He is one of my, with how low his defense is, he's one of my squishier champions. He dies pretty easily, but I do have a revive champion, so we'll get to him later. 43,000 health, 3,500 attack. Defense could be higher, would help. Again, there's that high speed to make sure that he's placing those the block buffs and the decrease or the increase the turn meter or the cooldown, for the enemies and the waves. Almost 100% crit rate, crit damage, a lot of accuracy. Just want to make sure he's also hitting hard. He's doing some damage. He's one of my main damage dealers. I did change out his ring with HP instead of attack, just to make sure he survives a little bit better. Crit damage, accuracy for placing the debuffs. Has speed, HP again for survivability. I think again I had him in attack. If you want him in arena, you would probably put attack, chest, attack, ring to up his damage. Crit damage again, or crit rate's almost at 100. So that's Basher. A great champion. The Bear, Ursine Ironhide. Someone that I know a lot of people talked about being a pretty bad champion. He's not great, but he's not bad, especially for this faction. He was a guarantee while ago for the starter pack, or I forget what that's called, but the pack you were able to get him masteries. He's someone that I decided on booking or making a 60. I wish I didn't have to because I don't really use him anywhere else. But he was someone that I needed to have a couple level 60 champions just for the extra defense and extra health. Here's his masteries. not fully mastered, but he's another one of my damage dealers. Does have some accuracy. For his skills, attacks one enemy, has a 35% chance of increasing the cooldown of one of the target's skills by 1 turn. So another way of a cooldown, increasing the cooldown of an enemy along with bashers. A2 attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing a turn meter, decreasing the turn meter by 5%. Decreases the turn meter by 10% instead if the target is under decrease attack. This is a defense-based champion, which is really helpful. Survivability helps a lot, and it's easy just to pile on a bunch of defense, makes him hit harder. And he's got some decent, like with his A1, increase the cooldown for skills, along with to go with Basher, like I mentioned. He has a turn meter manipulation, which is good. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff. So that lines with this, that decrease attack. And this hits pretty hard. It's AoE, can hit pretty hard. He is all the way booked out. Does have a passive. Each hit has a 50% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 7.5. Each hit also has a 50% chance of putting one of the target's skills on cooldown if the target is under decreased crit rate. I don't know if I knew this. I don't think I have a decreased crit rate champion out of this team, but just again, that's 2 champions with, blocking buffs, manipulating turn meter, increasing the cooldown of the skills. Getting through the waves is super helpful, and the ads, even the turn meter of the boss. This is really helpful. As for 43, so about the same health as Basher, kind of changed out. Instead of having any attack, he just stacked with defense, a ton of defense, which is awesome. It's really slow. Having him faster would be helpful, but I was able to beat it with this build. 88%, you would like to see that at 100. But yeah, none of his skills you don't need accuracy. Decrease attack. So that is that decrease attack. The accuracy would be helpful to help place this. Actually, be quite helpful. But just my build, I went high defense. So accuracy is something that you could use. It would make this a little easier. So defense, defense, defense. If you threw an accuracy banner on him, have to help place that. A3 would be helpful for the turn meter manip. Speed. Even with the speed, it's only a 4-star. If I can get him in a 5 or 6-star defensive speed boots, that would be really helpful to have him go faster. He is in 1 speed set. Defense, just a ton of defense. His defense does not need to be that high. Again, if you're building him, I would recommend tweaking this defense down a little bit to make sure you get accuracy, get speed, and then if you can get crit rate as well, have him hit a little harder. He doesn't need that much defense. But again, that's the build I have him in. I didn't want to move a bunch of stuff around or put him in different gear if I didn't have to. So let's go, let me see. Just a lot of damage dealing between these 2 champions. And then we've got the Hippo. Hofer, man, I'm not gonna even say that name. The Tusked, sorry. 50. So I was able to do it with only level 50. He is your revive champion, and the key is just survivability. Just make sure he stays alive, so that he can revive your champions. Masteries, a little bit of some resistance, some health, just a lot of HP. He's an HP based support champion, so just pile on the HP. Skills, they are all booked. Attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 10% chance of placing stun. Not a really good odds of placing it. You do add 20, so that makes it 30. So that's not bad, but not something I really bank on. It's nice if it procs, but places a 50% increase attack buff and 30% increase. Oh, here's increased crit rate. Let's just decrease crit rate. Got excited there for a second. But increases the attack and crit rate, which does help your attack-based champion like Basher, and is going to help Satri, who's a special little uncommon champion that is a huge help for getting through this faction. But that increase attack, increase crit rate, which increased crit rate really does help. So you didn't have to get their crit rate all the way to the max, 100%. The only thing is placing buffs on your champions. The boss steals buffs. I think it's every third turn. I believe he has a attack that he does twice, and then he does the steal. I think he starts with the stealing your buffs, and then he attacks twice. There's also the adds. So just something, and I'll get into pretty much the waves. There's nothing special. This is not a very strong team by any means. My other two champions are going to be Steel Skull and Satiri. I'm going to say that name wrong the whole time. But these, like, I have a healer, a squishy damage dealer, two other kind of damage dealers, and a reviver, and some 50s. Like, this is not a massive team by any means. And the waves are fine. I get through the waves, no problem. Just pick on ones and just keep smashing them, just keep healing your guys. I don't have to even revive anyone getting through the two waves. So the waves aren't the issue. It's the boss. Kill that left ad that places provoke. You just want to do as much damage and get him out of the way first. And once he's gone, work on the second ad, and then just work on the boss. The boss, what he does is he steals buffs. So if you can place them at the right time, place your buffs after he steals. So when he tries to steal buffs, don't have any buffs on your guys. And then place all your buffs. And then you'll have until his third turn, until he'll steal them, and then you'll use your champions, and we'll get to more, that manipulate turn meter, that slow his ability to take turns, so your buffs stay up until they're gone, and then by the time they're gone, he tries to steal them again. He also, once he's down to 20% health, he stacks his health all the way back up to the champion with the highest health on your team. So a hard strategy is you don't want any of your champions at max health. You want them all at you want to keep them all healthy, and whoever's losing the most health, you want your Steel Skull to heal them. Because you don't want them to die if you can. But it's just the strategic, heal the one that's at the lowest health. If someone's dead, don't revive them yet. Because with this move right here, revive 2 random allies with 50% HP and fills their turn meter by 50%. After the revival, place a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. You want to wait till 2 champions are dead, but you also don't want there to be 3 champions dead if possible. But you don't want to revive when there's only 1 dead if another one's pretty low on health, because you're going to revive that one, and then the boss is going to kill that other one, and then you have to wait for your revive to come through again. All these are booked. Making him fast is really important, so he's going through this A3 revive skill as fast as possible, but you kind of want to be smart on when you use it. Resistance you can use, and I've tried to use the resistance aura, it just hasn't worked as well as just having an extra HP. And then for total stats, 62,000, a lot of health. His attacks, let's go over that real quick. HP based, so it's really just the one attack that's HP based. And it's just smart to have a bunch of HP. Here's your reviver. Defense, I never have an issue with him dying, so I mean, you could do more defense. Speed, fast enough. Again, more speed would be helpful. I'm not worried about any damage or accuracy on this champion. I just want him to be alive, and I want him to go through his turns as quickly as possible. Definitely some masteries you can pick to increase turn meter and cooldowns. Also, I mean, I have him with a lot of health. Again, I didn't put like the best gear on a lot of these champions. So you could definitely use better gear. Anything that increases or decreases cooldown. So HP. Again, just a lot of survivability. Speed, HP. Putting him in a reflect, all speed, all divine speed. What else? Apologize. I'm just blanking. Relentless and reflex sets that are going to help increase turn meter or have extra turns would be really helpful, assuming you just make sure you get that health or defense high enough to where he survives. But again, level 50 revive champion, those are the stats I use. That's how I was able to get through this stage 21. Steel Skull, great champion for this. A little bit of attack, a lot of HP, healing. He's a healing champion. Again, not all the way maxed out. He is booked. Attacks one enemy one time, has a 10% chance of placing a 5% poison. Poisons are helpful, especially against bosses. Just do a little bit extra damage, but nothing too crazy or important. Removes all debuffs from a target ally and then heals them by 40%. This is huge. You want him to be just kind of like the hippo. You want Steel Skull to be fast or taking those extra turns, relentless, reflex, all speed, whatever is going to get him taking as many turns as possible so that he's healing as much as possible. And then places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns, heals all allies by 20% of their max HP. This is pretty big too. Do remember, like I mentioned, the boss will steal buffs, so make sure you're timing it to where you place your buffs after he's tried to steal buffs that are on your champions, because you don't want to increase the defense of the boss. Increase all allies' defense in faction crypts by 27. You could use him as your lead, a set of Basher, the 25 health. Not sure there's a big difference between, defense, health. You just want survivability regardless. For his stats, 36,000 health. Definitely more health would be helpful if you made him a 6-star. Again, why make him a 6-star unless you're using him in other places? He is a decent. I've heard and seen that he'd be a good fit for clan boss, possibly with the heals and with the poisons, depending on what other champions you have. For me, just isn't worth putting those resources into. He's based off. His skills are based off attack, or his one. Is based off attack. So a little bit of attack if you wanted to do a little bit of damage. Health would be nice. More defense would be nice. Against survivability, he's another one of those champions that die quite often because of his low defense. Fast, 206 isn't bad. It'd be nice if he's a little faster. Accuracy, a little bit for placing the poison. Not really. Really, again, all I'm focusing on is his healing and then that shield. He is in a relentless set, so he is going having the opportunity, 18% chance of having an extra turn. Again, his gear's not even. This is the first, I think, champion that doesn't have, of the ones so far, health, speed, but isn't maxed out with the gear. It definitely isn't my greatest gear. Just gear I kind of had that I was hoping would do the trick getting through this, and it did. And then for the last champion I used, I'm not going to even try to say his name again because I'm butchering it. An HP based champion, which is helpful. Let's see, masteries, not a whole lot. A little bit of health, a little bit of accuracy, a little bit of offense. Booked out, just rare books. Two abilities, attacks one enemy. So an HP based champion with attack based attacks, which kind of sucks, but attacks one enemy, has a 25% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. So it decreases the speed. Great. We already have some turn meter manipulation, cooldown manipulation. Here's a decreased speed. And then attacks 4 times at random, decreases the turn meter by 15% if the attack is critical. Make sure he has 100% crit rate. You want the turn meter, this turn meter manipulation, again, to add with this other turn meter manipulation is huge, especially against that boss. You put up your buffs after his first attack. I mean, again, really you want to focus on the adds. You focus on the left add, the right add. And then, I mean, don't be aware of him, the boss, and when he's placing, I think his first attack is the one that steals buffs. After that, start putting your buffs on. But all this turn meter manipulation and cooldown, like, it really helps against the boss. And then for skills, again, he's a uncommon champion. HP base, so I got him a lot of health. Attack is really low. His attacks are based on attack. It would be nice to have some more attack. Now the hippo does have an increased attack, which is helpful. His crit rate is crazy high. I'll show you his gear in a second, but like, I threw this gear on him a while ago and just didn't bother. Didn't want to switch stuff out. Speed, it would be nice if he's a little faster, placing that decrease turn meter, especially since he only has 2 skills. To do a little bit more damage would be helpful. Defense would be helpful. He dies really easily, so I think it wouldn't be hard to make him a little bit more survivable. Obviously, crit rate didn't need to be that high. I could somehow find a way to get pieces that increase these stats, the health, the defense, the speed, and then accuracy for that decreased speed would be helpful. But again, I didn't put him into much accuracy. I don't have a banner on him. He's one of his pieces. He does have perception, so he does have that. Sorry, not perception. I mean, he does, but relentless. So I did increase his odds 18% of that cooldown of that turn meter manipulation. For his just what he's got on him, so HP for survivability, speed, HP, crit rate, because that crit rate's really important. He's got 2 items that I could max out. Again, if I don't have to, it's expensive using silver to get him a little bit more stats. I'm curious, what he could add. Even glyphs could help him out, definitely, but I didn't need to. This was the bare minimum. And my relentless gear is, I mean, it's something you can't farm. You just have to kind of do well in events, and you can win it. So, and he's not my best. Like, I'm not trying to dump my best artifacts in any of these champions. So these are my builds. This is the gear I was able to use. Again, I would always like to show, and I already walked through how I was able to kind of just want to grind through that boss, but I did beat it. I did 63 star it. That is the team I used. Just want to make sure you don't think I'm lying or that I haven't actually beat it, but that's the team. Just a unique kind of group. Not all maxed out champions by any means, not masteries maxed out. Everyone is booked. That's the only thing that it looked like I really put in a lot of resources, unfortunately. But for that, it was something that was difficult and took a lot of turns to kind of figure out, but it is something that will work. You just have to kind of grind out that boss, be smart in timing your buffs, use that turn meter manipulation to slow down the boss's moves, and just grind away and you'll get through stage 21 on the Skinwalkers. Hope this video helped for anyone out there that has, like, maybe those are just the champions you happen to have and you're just curious if that's good enough for getting you through stage 21. It is. And hopefully you have maybe a little bit better gear, or maybe those champions are viable for more places in the game for you and they're worth six starring. They're not necessarily bad champions, just depending on the champions you have. So anyways, I wish you luck. I hope you guys are grinding through the faction wars. I'm looking forward to Shadowkin. the new one that's going to be opening up, and I'll hopefully do a video soon as soon as I'm able to figure out how to beat it through stage 21. So anyways, until next time.